In this video, I will tell you about applying the geometric constraints to the geometry. And here we have the simple geometry. Now, in order to apply the geometric constraints, once again, go to the parametric tab. And now here we have this geometric panel on which we have all the tools related to the geometric constraints. Now, let's start by constraining some of the parts of this geometry. Here in this case we have this rectangle, we have these two circular geometries, one of them is arc, one of them is circle, and let's say that we want to keep this form of the geometry. In this case we want to keep these two lines parallel and also these two lines parallel. Also we want to retain the perpendicular lines here, and we also want all of these geometries to remain connected as they are from end to end. Now in order to do that, I'll start with the parallel geometric constraint. So I'll go to the geometric panel and click on this parallel, and now select the first set of lines. So I'll click on this one and this one. Now the parallel constraint has been applied in between both of these lines. Now let's select this line and let's move it. And you'll notice that yes, we have both of these lines parallel, but in this case these two lines are not parallel as the constraint is not yet applied. So let's press Ctrl Z, go to the parallel and click on this set of line, and now select it and click on any of these grips and look at geometry. When I deform the geometry, the constraint will be maintained. These two are parallel and these two are always parallel, but we have a problem here. In this case, this arc is losing contact with these two endpoints. So in this case, we need to make them coincident. So let's press Ctrl Z, and now I'll go to the geometric panel again, and here we have the coincident constraint. So that will ensure that the endpoints remain connected. Now I'll go to this line and close to the point which we want to connect, and we'll see this red marker. When the marker is visible, click. Now go to the arc, and once again when the marker is visible, click. Now we have this blue dot which indicates that a coincident constraint has been applied. Similarly, repeat the process for this side. So I'll go to coincident, I'll go to this horizontal line but close to this endpoint, click on this arc close to the endpoint, and we have the constraint. Now let's deform the geometry. And yes, in this case we have the constraint maintained even though the geometry is highly deformed. But now in this case you'll notice that the angle is not 90 degrees for all of these lines. That means we need to apply a perpendicular constraint. So I'll press Ctrl Z and I'll go to this perpendicular constraint. Now click on this line and click on this line, and the constraint is now applied. Now let's click again, let's try to deform it, and yeah, we are not able to deform it. We have it fully constrained, except for one thing, we are able to move this drawing. Although the consistency of the geometry is now maintained, but we don't want it to be moved to any other place. For that we can apply fixed constraint. So let's go to the fixed constraint, and now I'll click on any of the vertices and that vertex will be fixed. So as that vertex is related to remaining part of the geometry, they will also remain fixed. Now I'll try to move it, and yes, we have almost constrained drawing. So even if I try to move this geometry, most of the parts are now fully constrained and I'm not able to move them. Now in this case, if you want to hide all of these constraints from your drawing area, you can simply do that by selecting this hide all option. So click on hide all and the complete constraint is now hidden. In order to bring it back, click on show all. You can also selectively show and hide these constraints, and for that select this show hide option. Select the geometries on which the constraints are applied that you want to hide. So in this case I'll select this line and this arc, and now press enter, and now we have some options here. So we have this hide option. Let's select hide, and the constraints of these two geometries are hidden. In order to bring them back, once again click on show all, and the constraints will be visible. You can obviously select this cross icon, so that will also hide these constraints selectively. So you can click on these cross icons to hide them manually if you want. So that was all about applying the geometric constraints in your drawing. In the next video, we'll learn about applying the dimensional constraint to this drawing.